can see you very well.
Yeah, but can you see if I share my PPT also? Do you want me to check it?
Yeah, why not?
Just give me a second. Host has disabled participant screen sharing.
Mr. Ashuri, you have disabled some software sharing?
Yeah, Mr. Ali, Mr. Ali, Mr. Ali, tell Mr. Ali to arrange it. Salam, Mr. Riyasuddin, Dr. Riyasuddin, how are you?
Salamati Ustad.
Good afternoon to all of you. Iram Rizvi, please start that program.
Assalamu alaikum. I think this our guest wants to share her PPT in the future when she's going to talk. So can you disable the command to share the enable the command to share the PTP, because I think it's disabled from your side. So saying this, I want to begin our program, which is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, on this very, very, very auspicious occasion of the 42nd anniversary of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Culture House has organized this Adabi Mehfil to synergize the people together and better explain to them about the great contributions of the Islamic Republic of Iran to the Middle East and to the entire world altogether. Now, before passing on the mic to our honorable
just let me first I tell to all the guests to welcoming, and after that we will start.
Yes. So I'm going to pass on the mic to Mr. Ashuri after this. So I just wanted to say that my input is the excellence of the Islamic Republic revolution is that in 1962 to 1963, there were just 24,000 students in the university. And in 1972, they went up to 208,000 students. So the figure just went 10 times above. And the universities in 1960 to 1963 were just 27 in Iran. And in 1972, the universities went up to 157. And today, most of the Iranian youth are highly educated, which is more than 98.5% of the youth. Now, saying this, I would like to pass on the mic to Mr. Ashuri, who's going to welcome all the guests to speak. Mr.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First, because just only for the welcoming to all my guests, my distinguished guests, also they accepting our invitation to participate in this very good program. I think so, because all of the people are talent and intellectual people. They are going to explain the achievements of Islamic revolution, and after that the Indo Iran relationship during the history. First, Professor Dr. Shareda Kambojkar, and also Advocate Makarane and Danishvar Adeker, Dr. Mahmoud Abul Qasim, Professor Dr. Mahmoud Abul Qasimi from Iran, he's enjoy us, and Dr. Sirajuddin Chogle, and Professor Dr. Sirajuddin Chogle, Professor Dr. Rafiuddin Nasser, Professor Dr. Sheikh Aftab Anwar, most distinguished guests, most welcome to this program. This is a pleasure. We are going to negotiate about the achievements of Islamic revolution and Indo-Iran relationship during the history. So I should tell to all of you again and again, welcome to accepting our invitation to participate in this program. Thank you very much.
Most welcome. Now I would like to invite Dr. Ghyasuddin, who is the teacher of Persian in the University of Baroda, to please share with us his honorable thoughts. Dr. Ghyasuddin. Dr.
And
Ghyasuddin.
I think His Excellency General Council of Iran, is inshallah he will participate in this program and join us. Mr. Abul Fazl Ali Khani, His Excellency General Council of Iran.
All right, Mr. Ashuri, I must apologize here because the program list that I have got has mentioned Dr. Ghyasuddin as first. So my apologies to the Honorable Consul General of the Islamic Republic of Iran,
Okay.
who bases the consulate in Mumbai. Please, you're welcome. Now, I would like to ask Dr. Ghyasuddin. Can we ask the next participant to speak?
Iram, if possible, first, His Excellency Abul Fars Ali Khani is speaking.
All right, Mr. Ali Khani, could you please grace
His
us with your
Excellency.
speech?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على فاطمة وأبوها وبالها وبنوها والسر المستودع فيها بعدد ما أحاط به الملك والفجر والليال العشر.
I think Ali Khani sir is supposed to come.
Hello.
Let us.
Do you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Can I?
You're very soft, Mr. Ali Khani. Could you be a little louder, please?
Sure, sure. Good afternoon, all distinguished guests. That's my pleasure to be with this very important webinar on the issue of the achievement of the Islamic Revolution of Iran. And thanks to the Dr. Ashuri and his colleagues and all organizers of this very important webinar. First, I would like to extend my wishes and the congratulations to the Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-Azam, Supreme Leader of Iran, our great nation of Iran, and all Indian lover of the revolution of Iran. And also I should appreciate for the holding the important webinar on this issue. Let us start to reminding that how important was the rule of the great founder of the revolution of Iran, Imam Khomeini rahmatullah alayh, and his followers to sacrifice their lives and blood to having this important victory which has caused the collapse of the 2,500 years monarchy in Iran and the very independence regime of the Islamic Republic of Iran has established. Now we are celebrating 42nd anniversary of the victory of the Islamic Revolution of Iran, which, alhamdulillah, with the great and auspicious anniversary of the birthday of the Hazrat Fatima Zahra, mother of the Prophet Muhammad. Well,
Your Excellency, we cannot hear you. You're very soft.
I try to speak louder then. Is that okay now?
Better. We appreciate your serious Sukhani, but you're very soft.
Okay, is that better now? Is it okay?
Yeah, better.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Sorry. Well, alhamdulillah, the Islamic revolution after the 42nd years and 4 decades also challenged with the different barriers on its ways and ways, which one of the most important was the imposed war, 8 years imposed war by the Saddam regime and supporting some foreign countries. Alhamdulillah, we had the victory on this, and then after that, we had the different sanction economically, politically, and then we had the terrorism attacks. We had lost many of our elite and our scientists very recently, and then also we had been survived, and hope inshallah we could continue our very important ways that we has been achieved by the method of the revolution of Iran. Well, if we want to talk about the achievement of the revolution of Iran in many different areas like the politics, economics, cultural wise, military, defense, technology, science. Of course, it's a long list which is available. I'm not going to take too much of your precious time to go detail. Uh, of course, the distinguished colleagues will be over on that. They will cover it. And then goes down to, I want just to emphasize on some importance of this area, like the politics. I'm quite sure that you'll agree with me that the independence is very important. It was one of the main goal of the revolution of Iran with the independence and republic, which has been achieved by the great leader of the revolution, Imam Khomeini, and supporting all the Iranian, including the Iranian in abroad, including uh, very important rule, which has they rule. They had a very important rule, including the all Iranian and Indian friends to supporting the revolution. Well, in the politics, we had a very good achievement. We had, and we have diplomatic and official relations with all over the countries and all over the world, and of course, except few of them. Well, we are the one of the most and the unique independence regime we have in the world. We are, well, in bilateral relation, if I want to talk with the Iran and India, it goes back to maybe centuries, based on cultural and economic and historical relation between two great nations. We had a very good relation, diplomatic relation in the past few years, especially last year we had the official visit of Dr. Zarif to India, had a meeting with the Prime Minister Modi, and then also we visit Mumbai. We had a very good meeting. And recently we had a very good achievement on the proven enhancement of the economic relations between the two countries.
You have muted yourself, sir. Your Excellency, your mic has become muted.
Hassan Mirai. Okay.
Is that
Yeah,
okay?
you're unmuted now.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I don't know whether could you follow me or not, but I'm just trying to explain the relation between the Iran and the abroad, especially
Hello.
India, and how is important the relation between Iran and India. We had a very good exchange of the high-level delegation during the past years. We had the official visit of Dr. Zarif, and just few days back, we had the official visit of the His Excellency General Khatami, the Minister of Defense of Iran, who took part in the very important events in Bangalore, and he had a very good the negotiation with the Indian counterpart. In the economic, the field, we had a very good relation. It was almost $17 billion volume of the trade between two countries. And of course, due to some reason, it has been declined a little bit, but I'm quite sure that the new, the bilateral arrangement in the region, we will achieve again the same level of the volume of the trade. Recently, we had the visit of the General Director of the Political Division of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of India to Iran, and actually the harbor of the Shahid Beheshti in the Chabahar port has been facilitated by the two special crane for the loading and deloading the commodity which goes through Iran to Afghanistan, to Central Asia, and also to Russia, to Europe also. It's a very important link, transit in India and the Western and the Central Asia, which has been uh, emphasized by the both sides. And also in the cultural activities, I'm very uh, glad to say that we have a lot of Iranian students who are doing their education here in the different fields like the medicine, political science, engineering, and others. interested area. We have a very good exchange of the program for improving the Farsi language in India, because the Farsi is the common heritage between two great nations from long time ago, and then we should emphasize on this. In the other area like the technology, the transfer of the technology, new technology, and modern high-tech technology like the nanotechnology, Iran is one of the most important countries in the field. We are among the 10th of the country which have a very good achievement on this. On the other field, if I wanted to emphasize on that, I could refer to the universities, activities, and cooperation. Iran universities among the, which at the range of the 18 all over the world. We have the 29 universities in 2019, which has great and the top levels of the achievement. Well, on the other area like the pharma, we have supplied a lot of many important medicine, including the coronavirus vaccine to the Iranian and hopefully to the neighboring countries. These days, just today we have started the vaccination of the COVID-19 to the Iranian by the foreign and also Iranian products, and thanks to Indian friends for providing some part of the vaccine which has been made and supplied by the India. Also on the nanotechnology, we are the fourth um, uh, level and the grade in the Iran, in the world. Well, on the urban diplomacy, we have signed the 2030 sisterhood agreement between the many cities in the world, including the Isfahan, Shiraz from the Iran side, Tehran, and from the Indian side, Delhi, New Delhi, Mumbai, and Pune. With the other countries, we had signed almost 100 MOUs, political and bilateral agreements with the different countries, including the Republic of India. Well, in the military defense, we are well aware that we have self-defense countries. We are, of course, during the 200 years ago, Iran has not started any war against any countries and neighboring countries, but we are ready to defend our countries against any imposed war or any sanction. So in the it's many difference. I'm quite sure that our distinguished colleagues will really explain it in details, especially Mr. Rizvi, which is very expert in the medicine. And at the end, I would like to extend my best wishes for all of you, and thank you in advance for your elaboration on this very important and very fruitful webinar, which has been held on the occasion of the victory anniversary of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And I wish all the best to the great nation of the Iran and India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency Agha Abul Fazl Ali Khani, for your wonderful speech. And as you were talking about the Indo-Iran relationship and the history of Indo-Iran relationship, I just would like to put in two words that till today in our judicial system, used, because there was a time when, like, English is the universal language in India, Persian was the universal language between all the kings. And currently we use many Persian words in our judicial system, like Baizzat Bari or Hazri or Qaid ba Mashaqqat or Giraftari, So these everything we are completely embedded with our, old history. So saying this, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Shraddha Kambojkar, who is the head of Department of History in Savitribai Phule University in Pune. I request Dr. Kambojkar to unmute herself.
Thank you, ma'am. It's such a pleasure to have such a kind introduction. One, and secondly, it's such a pleasure to be with friends and with senior people from. It's like a very, very old friendship that is getting rejuvenated, really speaking, because being a history person, I know that Indo Iran or Iran India relations go thousands of years back. The roots of our friendship are very old and very deep. So I would like to make a small presentation here, if possible, if I can share my screen. I have a PPT ready with some images, but if not, then that is also fine. I'll speak for about 10 or 15 minutes to take an overview of the cultural influences that Iran has had on India.
Mr. Zakir, I request you if it's possible to allow doctor to share her screen, please, for the PPT.
Actually, madam, I cannot share. Please share to me PPT. I will share.
Okay, that will be
Okay.
great.
I'll just send it to you on the web.
WhatsApp.
Send
WhatsApp.
on WhatsApp.
Yes.
Yeah. Just give me 1 second. Let me disable my video and do that. Huh?
Okay. Okay.
So in the meantime, till it is arranged for Dr. Kambojkar to share her PPT, is it possible, Mr. Rashuri, we go on the next person till Dr. Shraddha is ready to present her PTP? Do we have your permission? I would request Advocate Makaran Nyananeshwar Adkar, who is a professional advocate since 1989, practicing law before the Supreme Court of India and various high courts in India, and has worked as a lecturer for ICWA courses and commerce graduation with Symbiosis College, Pune. I would request Advocate Adkar to please come online and share with us his wisdom. Is Mr. Adkar there?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम उम्मीद बराम के हमें मेहमान हाय गरामी खूब बशर इंशाल्लाह. Heartiest congratulations on your 42nd anniversary of Islamic Revolution. When I thought about revolution, and which is prefixed by Islamic, the singular thought which came to my mind is that apart from materialistic view, in the life of any nation, advent of enlightened and a selfless leader is the greatest blessing which changes the philosophy and the way of life of the society. We all are aware, I'm not going to talk about technological development and scientific development, and there are scholars and political pundits who will talk about it. I could think about only one angle, that a revolution came in the name of religion, in the name of deen, Islamic revolution. We all are aware that Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala handed down a written guidance. But to implement the guidance, I think is probably the most important duty of a human being. And I sincerely believe that it was a divine plan to introduce such a magnificent personality like Imam Sahib in the history of Iran. No doubt Islamic revolution gave Iran a new constitution, that is Islamic Republic Constitution, on 1st April 79. But more importantly, in December 79, the enlightened leader, a selfless person, a person of God, a person of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a person who was living with Quran Sharif, became the supreme leader of Iran. I'm sure we all are religious people, and I'm more than sure that we are very strong on our iman. We all are also aware about the purpose of human life, and which is repeatedly stated in Quran Sharif as a purpose of human life is to achieve decent akhirat. And to achieve such ultimate goal of human life, we have to follow the path prescribed by our Creator. And thankfully for Islam, it is a written constitution for human life. I always felt that in the life of Iran, it was a divine design to cause 1979 Islamic revolution. That is, speaking for my own country, we at times get worried about blind following of Western style of living. And we believe that God may be having some plan for us also, like the God had a plan for Iran. When I looked at 16-point guidance given by Honorable Imam, I was really so much impressed that if I could follow some of the guidance, then I think I would make myself a much better human being. And when I looked at those 16 points repeatedly, I found that it was a sort of crux of Quran Sharif. And if you permit me, because I am a regular student of Quran Sharif for last about 16 years, and I have taken out 3 small booklets on Quran Sharif, and I had occasion to deliver more than 100 lectures on Quran Sharif. So I immediately remembered Surah Baqarah, Surah number 2, ayat number 177. I immediately recollected Surah 20, Surah ayat number 131, that is Surah Taha. And I immediately remembered Surah Inshikak, Surah number 94, ayat number 7 and 8, that whenever you get time, please make yourself busy in the prayers, and please connect yourself with the divinity. I looked at various achievements of this great country, Iran, after 79, and I really wonder that in spite of so much opposition, so much isolation, Iran is getting stronger and stronger. But speaking for myself, I felt that introduction of such a giant personality in the life of Iran might be the greatest achievement of this Islamic revolution. I am personally blessed to have visited Iran thrice, and I do recollect the beautiful moments of staying on Valiastra Road and going to Valiastra Square in the night to have ice cream. And I noticed that overall Iranian people are so much polite, so much well-behaved. I'm really impressed. And that may be that having a beautiful people in the society may be because the religion or religious life is revived by Islamic revolution. See, countries keep on progressing technologically, scientifically, industrially. That goes on. But we get so much busy into our daily lives that we tend to forget that our existence here is for a short time, and indefinite time existence is somewhere else. And I think this great personality, the giant Imam Sahib, brought that consciousness in the Iranian society, and wish you all the best, and I wish that you follow Deen. I'm sure you must be following. You must be following. Do it in a better manner, and that can be the real gratitude towards the giant personality. As regards Indo-Iranian pre-post revolution, I gave a thought to that. I looked at the history, facts also. Immediately after 1947, India had an excellent relationship with Iran, and there were exchange of people kept on visiting each other, means high dignitaries. Thereafter, Pakistani incidents, then the Afghanistan, so many ups and downs. Then things started developing with Prime Minister Vajpayee. Again, there was a problem on something else. But our roots are so deep between India and Iran. Rather, the meaning of the term Iran, literal meaning is land of Aryans. And India, Bharatvarsha, is also known as Aryavrata. So, irrespective of all the points here and there and ups and downs, I am more than sure that we are connected for ages, we are connected emotionally, we are connected religiously, and therefore there is a great hope for future of Indo-Iranian relationship. As regards what is happening to Iran, I'll just take 1 minute. I think 2020 has shown all of us about human limitations. May it be Western countries, may it be scientific development, you may have greatest of the doctors, you may have greatest of the scientists, but 2020 showed human being that we are at times helpless. It's all time. It's all time. For the time being, Iran may be feeling somewhat in difficulty, somewhat isolated, but nothing is permanent, and the divine will and the divine justice has its own way. No empire remained permanent. British Empire collapsed. Soviet is nowhere. And I wish, I pray, I hope that by next anniversary, 43rd, the things will be much better, and I will get 2, 3, 4 more opportunities to go to Wali Astra Road and have ice cream in Wali Astra Chowk, and I will end my very short thought process by saying Man tabrika midam beshoma wa tamame Irania. Wish you all the very best. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Advocate Makarand Adkarji. And what you said about the Iranians is fantastic. As an Indian, and the point of view of an Indian, I had taken some pharmaceutical companies to Iran. I wanted to share this incident with you. And it was the first time they had been to Iran, and with all the media hype and all the kind of media attention that Iran gets, they were very confused and a little afraid. But the last day that they were there in Iran, they told me, we have been all over the world, but we have never seen people more peace-loving, more genuine, and more happy-go-lucky than the Iranians. What is the problem of the West? That is the statement they had given me.
It's a divine justice which will take its own course, and you will see some total change in some time to come.
Yes, we hope your prayers are answered soon.
Inshallah.
Now,
Inshallah.
I would take the opportunity to invite Dr. Shraddha Kambojkar the head of Department of History, Savitribai Phule, Pune University, to please share with us her knowledge.
Thank you, Advocate.
Thank you, sir. Inshallah milenge. Inshallah.
Inshallah, thank you.
I would like to settle in Tehran if you don't mind.
Okay. Sure. I hope so.
Thank you.
Dr. Shraddha?
Yes. If my PPT gets shared, okay. Otherwise, I'll just go ahead with the images that I have. It's really an honor to be able to share my thoughts, share some bits and pieces of knowledge that I have accumulated over the last few years about how these two beautiful countries of Iran and India have, though politically we had modern nations in the making, it's not really difficult to see that both these countries are really connected with each other. Please go to slide number, the earlier slide, before this. Yeah, thank you. Next, please. As you know that my department has this course in Farsi language, which has been running for the last 3 or 4 years, precisely because India and Iran share these deep-rooted relations with each other. And as pointed out very correctly by the previous speaker, the language of Indian jurisprudence, the language of Indian administration, has so much of Farsi influence that it's just unimaginable for us to think of Iranian culture as something that is foreign, that is alien. We really are connected. So this Persian teacher that we have, Mr. Nikhil Paranspe, who is doing a fantastic job of inculcating the love for Farsi language and Persian culture among our students, he shared this share by Be Dil De Helvi, and though I must confess I am not at all, I don't have any knowledge of the Farsi language. Still, he got me to rehearse, and he said that it will be nice if you share this couplet with the people in the culture house. So I'll give it a try. Say the words aloud. Jurunet ger be nafs khud tamam ast, fasile bein kashi tabe kashan nim kom ast, by Bedil Dehelvi, writing in the 17th century. I'm told that the meaning is that if you have it in your mind, if you have will to transgress the boundaries, then Kashi and Kashan are not very far from each other. So it's really only a leap of faith, as it were, if we want to hold hands with each other. Having said that, please go to the slide. We've had in the modern period, of course, we've had a great recognition being given to the deep influence that Iranian culture has had on India. And the first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, recognized it in these words. He said that among all nations and races who have with none of them has so everlasting an influence on our culture and civilization as that of the Iranian people. So while he was trying to write a discovery of India, history of India throughout the ages, Nehru realized that Iran and India have had these deep-rooted connections with each other. And as we go back into the history pages, we'll realize that he really was not exaggerating at all. Next slide, please. If we go back, like really back in the roots of history, underneath the layers of history, then we can see that the Harappan culture, which is like almost the proto-history, the beginning of historical evidences that we have as far as the Indian history is concerned. This culture shares a lot, many things with the Mesopotamian culture. And the figures that you can see, the left one, and the right one from one of the Harappa civilization sites. These are very similar culturally, definitely. The earlier Mesopotamian image must have had some kind of an influence on the Harappan culture. This is what the historians feel. So the trade relations, of course, are much talked about between Mesopotamia and the Harappan civilization. But the cultural influences are something that are much more deep-rooted, much more closer to our hearts than the trade and money parts of it. That's why I thought that I will highlight this aspect, the cultural aspect. Next, please. Next, please. The next slide.
I request you to please put the next slide. Mr. Zakir.
Okay. Anyway, that's fine. The next step or the stage, as far as the Indo-Iranian relations and cultural influences are concerned, it deals with the influences of the Zoroastrian religion and the migration of the Zoroastrian people towards, yeah, here, please. Thank you. The migration of the Zoroastrian people. But much before the migration, we have what is called as a fire temple in a place called as Nyasa, Iran. This fire worshipping of fire gods is something that very, very common India and Iranian. The Vedic people also had fire worship as a very important part of their culture, and so were the Zoroastrian people and other people from the Iranian countryside who were interested, who were practicing fire worshipping. So fire is something that connects us as well. The next slide, please. Yeah, from a place called Kish in Iran, we can find these Harappan seals, which have been seals as well as ornaments made of carnelian, which are found in a place called as Kish in Iran. So the trade between both the countries, of course, was going on. Not countries, countries is a modern thing. Trade between both the regions was very much alive and thriving. As far as many millennia, second millennium, first millennium, before Common Era is concerned. And the culture, of course, because these carnelian beads are something that you can find on any fashion street in maybe Mumbai or in Tehran also. So these are very much in fashion, even in this time and age. So the culture continues. Trade may go up and down, as the previous speaker noted, but the cultural influences do continue, and it's only in the propriety of things that it continues as well. Next, please. When we go to the medieval period of Indian history, of course, the influence of Iran in the Indian polity, Indian culture, Indian food, Indian clothing, Indian languages, it increases manifold, primarily because of the Sultanate period, of which Qutub Minar is a living testimony built by Qutbuddin Aibak and his successors. And this clearly has provides us with evidence about Iran's influence on India. Not just the architectural part of it, but the inscription at the doorway of the Qutub Minar also is one of the earliest Persian inscriptions found in India. So Qutub Minar is really a very, very important site of Iran and India cultural relationships. Next, please. As far as the Mughal Bollywood is concerned, we have, of course, a number of buildings such as the Taj Mahal and others. But here you will find a miniature painting of a lady who was born in Iran, and she rose to become one of the most powerful figures of the Mughal court. That is Noor Jahan. So this is something which is overlooked many a times, but it should not be. That human beings also traveled from one place to another, settled down in each other's regions, and they were not seen as foreigners. They were seen as your own people. Like Noor Jahan, she was married and became a very powerful lady in the Mughal court. So this human touch is also a very important part of the cultural influences. Next, please. Yeah, next, please. The Taj Mahal, of course, I mean, no need to introduce it to anybody, but the very word Taj is, of course, from Iranian origins, and Taj Mahal is one of the foremost recognized, most photographed World Heritage monuments in the world, and it owes a lot in terms of architecture, in terms of planning, in terms of standards of beauty to Iran and India relationship. Another Taj in the next slide, please. Yeah, this is the Taj Mahal Hotel in Mumbai, and this is just to make a point that the legacy of the Taj, the legacy of excellence, the legacy of quality has continued to the modern day as well. It's not just something that is medieval and foreign, but the idea of the Taj has been adopted and adapted to suit the Indian surroundings as well. Next, please. The culture and life and food and cuisine of India is simply, we can't think of it without Iran. Gulab jamuns and samosa being two of the prime examples of the influence of Iran on Indian cuisine. And for want of time, I would like to end the presentation here. But though I haven't put the image here, I would like to end the presentation with a remembrance of the Bollywood superstar Shah Rukh Khan. And Shah is a very prominent and meaningful name, and Shah Rukh Khan. A person like him who's an international celebrity, his name comes from the Persian language. As I earlier mentioned, many of the terminologies, many of the names, many of the influences of Persian culture are still felt, and they are very lovingly admired by the Indians. So I would like to end by saying that these roots are of Iran and India relationship are really, really deep. We need not worry with any current political or economic situations or fashions. I assure you, I take this opportunity to assure the people of Iran and people of India that come what may, we will continue, and we will keep holding hands, just the way the couplet that I had earlier recited. That it's if you have buland irade, if you have very very strong wishes, then India and Iran are not very far from each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shraddha. It was wonderful, your speech, and it was wow. Your pictographic presentation was wow. I loved it. And yeah, as you were going ahead, we could figure out the things you said. That, you know, I have found out. I do etymology is my subject. So you said the Shah of the Shah Rukh Khan is from the Persian word. So, you know, the Shah of the Gujaratis, which is a very common surname, is also from Persia, because in Sanskrit it was Shah, but they adapted it to the Shah. So that is also a Persian influence. Anyways, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. And I take the opportunity of inviting Dr. Mahmood Abul Ghasemi. Head of Department of Education of Shahid Beheshti University in Tehran, to please grace us with his knowledge and presentation.
Professor Sharada, thank you very much. Thank you. That was very nice, very beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
I'm sorry, I have to leave the meeting because I have another meeting with the Honorable Vice Chancellor.
Oh, we miss you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Mahmoud Abul Ghasmi. Is Dr. Mahmoud Abul Ghasmi online? Okay. I think we should just wait for him to reply. Till then, I request Dr. Sirajuddin Chogle. Is Dr. Sirajuddin Chogle online?
Yes, I'm there.
All right, Dr. Sirajuddin Chogle, he is the principal of Maharashtra College of Art, Science and Commerce, Mumbai. Please grace us with his knowledge. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam.
On the outset, I would like to congratulate the Cultural House of Iran and the Embassy of Iran for celebrating this 42nd anniversary of Iran Revolution. And special thank to His Excellency Mohsen Ashori for inviting me. And I would like to tell the audience over here, these people who are gathered over here, that the Culture House Iran Mumbai and Maharashtra College of Art, Science and Commerce have an MOU, an understanding to share various literary, cultural activities between both the institutions. So this is one of that part that we are sharing with you. I will be speaking on the Indian-Iran relationship before and after Islamic Revolution of Iran. Hopefully, I will take 10 minutes for this. With the permission, I would like to start. While talking about the relationship between India and Iran, the first thing that comes to my mind is the antiquity of ties. The relationship between both the countries date back to 5 million years. Throughout history, a wide range of deep relationship, political, economic, and cultural has existed between both the countries. The Silk Route, that was a key trade route in the ancient world, contributed to the boom in the trade activities and other sort of activities between both the countries, that is India and Iran. The migration of the Aryans from Iran to India is a major event in the history of India. Later, we see a wide range of interactions and exchanges between Indians and Iranians on all levels, public as well as government. These interactions and exchanges are best reflected in the common proto-language shared by Sanskrit and Persian. The biggest and most crucial fact in this regard is that during the Mughal era, during the Mughal era, Persian language was the official language. It was the official language. So many, in fact, I would like to also tell the learned people on the council over here that during Shivaji era, the courts were in Maharashtra were using Persian as a court language. The biggest and most crucial fact is that during the Mughal era, Persian language was the official language. So many reference books related to medieval Indian history are in Persian language. I would also like to just put in over here that Maharashtra College has been one of the colleges in Mumbai which has Persian language. Even today in the junior college, we are teaching Persian language. I think so. This is, in fact, we had Persian language in the degree college also. Unfortunately, because of the retirement of the teachers, that particular department in the degree college has closed down. But we have lot many Persian books in our library. The linguistic impact becomes more pronounced in the case of the modern Indian languages, mainly Urdu, which borrowed a major part of its linguistic assets from Persian. Other Indian languages such as Hindi, Marathi, and Gujarati, etc., have also many Persian words in their vocabulary. The exchange in the field of language are just an example that have been put in place. There are many fields from architecture, music, painting, calligraphy, attire, food, poetry, literature, which carry the Iranian influences. It is a result of historical connectivity between the two countries that we see in India the presence of around 70,000 Parsis today, which is in terms of Parsis population, this is the largest population anywhere in the world. Coming back to the modern times, after India obtained independence in 1947, the ties between India and Iran were on solid ground. However, the equations change rapidly as both countries join different blocks. Different blocks they started joining. Okay, and during the Cold War era, Iran under Shah Pahlavi joined the Western Bloc led by USA, and India under Jawaharlal Nehru followed the policy of non-alignment and decided to be positively neutral in international affairs. A little later, India tilted towards the Soviet bloc, which was a opposing bloc of the Western bloc Iran had joined. Thus, though India switched from non-aligned to Soviet bloc, the blocs of Iran and India did not match. Rather, it changed more unfavorably. However, a positive aspect even during these times was that India and Iran retained cordial relationship, which is a great achievement attained against all odds of international politics. So all the international politics that is there, we still have the relationship between India and Iran. That's something very positive. We need to take it forward. After the Islamic Revolution of Iran took place in 1979, it was hoped that India-Iran relationship will improve further. However, the unfortunate incidents now takes place over here of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan cast its shadow over India-Iran relation. While India supported the Soviet, it installed the government in Afghanistan due to bloc alignment, Iran found itself rallying behind northern alliances. Once again, the consideration of being in opposite bloc was held as the relation as hostage. After the withdrawal of the Soviet forces from Afghanistan in 1989, the emergence of Taliban in Afghanistan, India and Iran were on a rare coincidence of mutual agreement on the matter. Both India and Iran were opposed to Taliban. This is perhaps one of the few occasions where India, Iran, and the USA have been in agreement as they oppose the Taliban. The visit of Iranian President Mohammad Khatami in 2003 was a high point in the India-Iran relationship. However, this favorable atmosphere did not last long. Soon the US and its allies intensified their campaign against the civil nuclear program of Iran. One more thing happened simultaneously. India found itself more and more close to USA and tried to befriend it for its own national interest objectives. Thus, once again, India and Iran were in different groups. India going towards the USA and Iran finding itself at the receiving end of the US hostility. You can see the change happening. Earlier, Iran was part of the USA and India was part of USSR, but the things have changed, right? Though India and Iran have maintained their relationships then, the US factor has been a tightrope for them to walk on. Both the countries have struggled to balance the delicate equation, and their relationships have witnessed variations and fluctuations over the period of time. The vote of India against Iran at the Board of Governors of the International Atomic Energy Agency reduction in Indian imports of oil from Iran due to US sanctions, and the India-Pakistan-India gas pipeline project being stalled were a few major irritants in the relationship that had the negative bearing of the USA. Recently, there has emerged another factor in the recent time, which is impacting the Indian-Iran relationship. The factor is emergence of Israel as a major strategic partner of India. India and Israel both are partnering in many fields, such as agriculture and education, and most importantly, in security and defense areas. While Israel is a friend for India and a major supplier of arms, Iran and Israel consider each other as coexistent threats. All these unfavorable events and factors have led to bitter exchanges sometimes. In 2017, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei issued a statement which read thus, I quote, Muslims the world over should also openly support the people of Bahrain, Kuwait and Yemen. Kuwait and Yemen, and repudiate oppressors, the tyrants who attack people in Ramzan. This is the reference. The reference of Kashmir over here was the last point where the relationship became sour. This was a brief overview of major events, trends and factors in India-Iran relationship before and after the Islamic Revolution in Iran. A cursory read of these events through some bitter realities of international politics. To understand these realities, we have to be realistic and comprehend the way the government functions in today's world of complex global setting. To be frank, every country is trying to further its own national interest, be it India or Iran. National interest is the only permanent interest objective that is common among all countries. In international politics, there are no permanent friends and foes. Viewed from this angle, we can find the justification for their behavior from both India and Iran. While India is right in pursuing its strategic objectives by keeping good relationship with the US and the Western Bloc and Israel, Iran is also right in pushing for its own rights and alliances. It's here that both countries need to be pragmatic, understand each other's concerns and acknowledge their sensitivities. Each had to understand that relations between them cannot be built on conditions of renouncing each other, relation between other countries. In this context, the only scenario that remains is that both Iran and India should explore the areas where they can work jointly in a fruitful way without hurting each other's interest. Bahar port is a prime example of this. India needs Iran mainly in energy sector. Iran needs India as a market for its oil and to end its isolation in the international arena caused by USA sanctions. They both should engage each other in these areas of needs fruitful without escalation into the fields that have the potential of destroying even the existing relationship between India and Iran. As an optimistic and believer of India-Iran friendship, I'm hopeful that the government of India and Iran both will find constructive ways to work together for the development and prosperity of this great nation and will contribute to the peace across the globe. As I said at the beginning, that Maharashtra College thinks that this is the way that we have to go, and therefore we have a MOU with the Cultural House of Iran. As I end, I would like to quote a couplet of Amir Khushu in Persian and then also get it translated in English. A very small couplet. Bakhak darast raw ast mara. Bakhak darast raw ast mara. Gar surma beshab dar nakad. It means that the dust of your doorstep is just the right thing to apply if surma does not show its beauty in the eye. With these few words, I would like to end my presentation. I once again would like to thank the organizers, specifically the Culture House of Iran, and specifically His Excellency Mohsen Ashori for this particular webinar. With these few words, I thank you once again. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ashari, are you saying something?
Thank you, Professor. That was very nice and very beautiful lecture. We will enjoy too much. Thank you very much. Thank you for participation. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sirajuddin Chogle. That was really amazing, and the depth of your knowledge was incredible. And I just remembered Nelson Mandela when you were talking that, unfortunately, as you said, India has been forced into relationships and forced out of relationships due to some international pressures. So, Nelson Mandela was also being forced and questioned regarding this thing, that why are you making friends with so and so and so and so and so and so. So Nelson Mandela answered them, the mistake that you people make is to think that your enemies are our enemies.
Exactly.
So the thing is, and he got a standing applause for that. So the thing is that Iran is a friend, so it is our friend, and no amount of pressure can change that, because India
and Iran are friends.
Yes.
And they will stay friends.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. I would like to invite Dr. Mahmoud Abul Qasimi. Dr. Mahmoud Abul Qasimi, I can see him online, but I'm not receiving a response from him. Dr. Mahmoud Abul Qasimi, Head of Department of Education, Shahid Beheshti University, Tehran. Dr. Mahmoud?
Yes. Good. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to talk about achievement of Islamic Revolution after more than 40 years in Iran. Actually, in the referendum of beginning of revolution, more than 98% of people voted for the Islamic Republic system. And now, after more than 40 years, we can see that Islamic Republic of Iran has been successful in all areas, politics, science, and culture, and to bring peace in the region and progress in various fields of culture, science, and especially spiritual life of people. Actually, Iranian people pursued numerous objectives in the uprising against the Pahlavi regime, which was brought to power by the British colonial empire and supported fully and controlled more than 4 decades in Iran. Actually, the main objectives of Iranian people were freedom, independence, and Islamic government. And with no doubt, Islamic Republic was the greatest achievement of the Islamic Revolution in Iran. Actually, our popular system has far exceeded the criteria of the Western democracy and has in fact marginalized it as it is popular and democratic in the real sense of the word. The leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Khamenei, says, we brought a novel experience. We adopted democracy from religion. Our democracy is accompanied by spirituality and religion. Hence, it became religious, popular rule. And finally, it became the Islamic Republic. In terms of culture, one of the factors for the Iranian people's uprising against the regime of Shah was that the regime was opposite to Islamic culture and values and tried to promote morality in society. Islamic revolution put an end to this evil situation, and the promotion and propagation of religion replaced it. The spirituality and religiosity of the revolution is so important that Ayatollah Khamenei said, the message of the Islamic Republic is the message of spirituality, attention to spirituality, and bringing the element of spirituality in human life and heeding of morality and God. One of the greatest slogans of our people and their objective in their revolution was freedom. And the Islamic Revolution granted the Iranian nation freedom in various fields. The Iranian nation had been suppressed for centuries, especially during the Pahlavi regime, which was brought to power, supported and controlled by the British colonial empire and the US, and people had no role in determining their destiny. Any dissent would be quenched and opponent would be jailed, tortured, and murdered. Now, our nation elect the officials of the country, including the president, members of the parliament, and city councils, as well as the assembly of experts who appoint the leader. Through more than 4 decades of the Islamic Republic, about 40 elections have been held, including 3 referendums, 12 presidential elections, 10 parliamentary elections, 5 assembly of experts election, 5 elections for city and village councils, and an election of the constitution. The massive turnout of the people at ballot boxes indicates that they use the best opportunity that the Islamic Republic has granted them to determine their fate. Moreover, religious minorities as part of the Iranian nation enjoy freedom and have representative in the parliament and have freedom to practice their religion freely in our society. As for the media, the Islamic Revolution has granted great freedom to the media to express their ideas and criticize the officials. Moreover, after Islamic Revolution, the written and audiovisual media have dramatically increased in number and quality. Actually, independence was a greater objective of the Iranian nation in Islamic Revolution. And this stemmed from the fact that the former regime was fully dependent on the US and UK, and it took no decision without the advice of great foreign powers. Other countries like France and Germany were also complicit with the US in plundering the resources of Iran. Even the fabricated regime at Tel Aviv was engaged in looting the resources of the country. This was very humiliating and the nation could not tolerate it. The Islamic Revolution became a role model for another nations who seek to come out of the yoke of dominant powers and determine their destiny independently. Now the Islamic Republic of Iran, relying on the votes of people, administers the country without foreign interference, and this has infuriated the Western colonialists, especially the Great Satan, the US. Moreover, Iran continues taking independent stances strongly in accordance with its national interests and Islamic values and support the oppressed people in the world. And the other point that I'm going to make is the increased role of women in our society after the Islamic Revolution. According to statistics, actually, the massive presence of the people from all walks of life was an obvious characteristic of Islamic Revolution. However, the role of women has been very significant and effective in this regard. Being wary of the humiliation imposed by the regime of Shah, women rushed to the field of struggle against the regime once they heard the life-inspiring call of Imam Khomeini. After the victory of the Islamic Revolution, women have increasingly taken part in different domains such as politics, culture, economy, sciences, literature, arts, and sport. According to statistics, during the Pahlavi regime, only 25% of women were literate, while this figure is 85% now. Nearly half of the university students now are women, and the number of female graduates has increased from 6% in pre-revolution era to 44%. Moreover, women constitute 20% of university professors, while the number was just 6% before the Islamic Revolution. The Iranian women have made dazzling progresses in various scientific fields. The female physicians have increased 16 times more than the pre-revolution era. Furthermore, the number of specialists has increased from 600 before the revolution to 30,000 after it. Moreover, the improvement of public conditions of health and hygiene in the country has increased women's life expectancy from 50 to 79 years. In addition, mortality rate of mothers at childbirth has decreased 93% compared with the pre-revolution era. In other words, in 100,000 childbirths, just 18 women died. In terms of science and technology achievement, we can say that science and technology are the most important factors in our progress. And after the victory of the Islamic Revolution, Iran made tremendous efforts to compensate the backwardness of the regime of Shah and set the ground for scientific progress. Although various sanctions and the 8-year imposed war slowed down the speed of scientific and technological progress in Iran, the war itself was a bounty, as Imam Khomeini called it, because it forced Iranian youth to rely on indigenous capacities and capabilities to make the country independent. Therefore, numerous scientific and technological breakthroughs were put on display one after the other. Now, the Islamic Republic of Iran enjoys a prominent scientific position in the region and the world, and in some of the sophisticated technologies which are in the monopoly of the Western governments, Iran is a pioneer. Numerous scientific publications of the Iranian scholars in various fields have been quite astonishing. In terms of high-tech achievements, I can say that scientific progresses have been accelerated in Iran for the past 42 years, while they have been more spectacular in some domains. For instance, the Iranian scientists have gained great achievements in the new field of stem cells. Stem cells are the cells of human body which are able to turn into other cells. Thus, they can be used to cure diseases, repair wounds, and act as painkillers. Stem cells are found in different tissues of body, especially newborns, umbilical cord, bone, marrow, part of teeth, and some of the fat tissues. Scientists hope that in near future, diseases like cancer, Alzheimer, Parkinson, and so on will be treated by these cells. These are the main points that I would like to bring to your attention, ladies and gentlemen, and I can conclude my speech now. And thank you very much for giving your time to me and listening to my talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abul Qasimi. That speech was very deep and it was very rich in knowledge. And I would just like to share my experience with Iranian companies, because I very often travel to Pardees Technology Park. Perhaps you know about it, you know. And I have seen the kind of technology and improvement and innovation that they have done is a completely different level. And Iran is actually manufacturing things which are, for example, antibiogram machines. Only 11 countries in the world manufacture. Iran is one of them. Dialysis machines, only 4 countries in the world manufacture. Iran is only one of them. Like, you know, among, so it is actually like, you know, under so much isolation and so many sanctions, if a country can achieve that kind of ability, it is really tremendous. So thank you very much. Saying this, I would like to invite our next speaker, Dr. Rafiuddin Nasir, who is the National Award-winning teacher and HOD of Botany, Maulana Azad College, Aurangabad.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Mahmoud Abul Qasimi. Thank you so much. That was very beautiful presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Mohsin Ashuri, Director Culture House of Iran, Mumbai. Then Mr. Abul Fazl Ali Khani, that is Consul General of Islamic Republic of Iran, Mumbai. Then Dr. Shraddha Madam was there. Advocate Mukand was there in our discussion. Then Dr. Mahmoud Abul Qasimi. Then Madam Iram Rizvi Sahiba, and all viewers, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuhu. I have been advised by these organizers to speak in Urdu, because many of other language peoples are there who joined for this particular session. So as per your order, I will try to speak in Urdu as well as I will mix the language. My topic is that Indo-Iran relations before and after Islamic Revolution of Iran. यानी कि इस्लामी इनकलाब ईरान के बाद हिंदुस्तान और ईरान के ताल्लुकात. मौजूद नाज़रीन इकराम, अब अगर हम ईरान और हिंदुस्तान के ताल्लुकात पे नजर डालें तो ये कुछ आजकल की परसों की बात یا اسلامی انقلاب کے بعد کی بات نہیں ہے، بلکہ برسوں سے، ہزاروں سال سے انڈیا اور ایران کے بہت اچھے ریلیشنز ہیں، ویری گڈ ریلیشنز فرام اے لانگ ٹائم. اب اگر ہم تھوڑا 1947 سے پہلے کی بات کریں گے تو بارڈر آف ایران اینڈ بارڈر آف ہندوستان بوتھ آر ایڈجوائننگ، دونوں کی سرحدیں ایک تھی. جب سرحدیں قریب ہے تو دل کے تعلقات بھی قریب ہوتے ہیں. اس وجہ سے ہوتا یہ تھا کہ ایران کے پورے کلچر، تہذیبی، کلچرل ہیریٹیج، بزنس اینڈ ایوری تھنگ ایزیلی گوز ٹو انڈیا. اینڈ دا سیم تھنگ از ہیپننگ فرام دا انڈیا آلسو. انڈیا سے بھی بزنس، تجارت اور یہ ساری چیزیں جو ہے تو ایران کو جایا کرتی تھی. اور یہی وجہ تھی کہ ایران اور انڈیا کے تعلقات آج سے نہیں بلکہ بہت پہلے سے بہت اچھے اور قریبی رہے، کیونکہ دونوں ایک دوسرے کے پڑوسی ممالک تھے. 1947 کے بعد پھر پارٹیشن ہوا، پھر بہت سارے افغانستان پاکستان درمیان میں آ گئے اور اس وجہ سے جو ہے تو سرحدیں بڑھ گئی، لیکن دلوں کے تعلقات، ہارٹ ریلیشنز آر اسٹل ان دا سیم وے. اب دیکھیے گا کہ جب انڈیا انڈیپینڈنٹ ہوا، آزاد ہوا، تو اس وقت 15 مارچ 1950 کو انڈیا میں ایران کے جو ہے تو ڈپلومیٹک آفیسز یہاں پر قائم ہوئے. اس کا نتیجہ یہ ہوا کہ ہمارے ریلیشنز جو ہے تو اور بھی بہت اچھے سے بڑھ گئے. اور اس کے بعد پھر کیا ہوا کہ پہلے بھی آزادی سے پہلے بھی ایران کے بادشاہ انڈیا آیا کرتے تھے اور انڈیا کے بھی لوگ ایران جایا کرتے تھے. لیکن تھوڑا سا میں اس کی تاریخ پر نظر ڈالوں تو ہم یہ دیکھیں گے کہ انڈیا جب آزاد ہوا اور جب ڈپلومیٹک ریلیشنز قائم ہوئے تو اس کے بعد ہم دیکھتے ہیں کہ 1956 میں رضا شاہ پہلے دفعہ ہندوستان آئے تھے، جس کی جاب 60 میں ایز اے پرائم منسٹر ایران کا دورہ کیے تھے. اس کے بعد محترمہ اندرا گاندھی صاحبہ نے 1974 میں ایران کا دورہ کیا. ادھر جب سے ہمارے تعلقات اور بھی مستحکم ہو گئے. اس کے بعد 1977 میں مورارجی دیسائی نے ایران کا دورہ کیا اور پھر دوبارہ رضا شاہ پہلوی 1978 میں ہندوستان آئے. اب یہ تو تعلقات اسلامی انقلاب سے پہلے کے ہیں. ڈیورنگ دس پروسیس لاٹ آف ٹریڈ ہیز ٹیکن، بہت ساری تجارت ہوئی، بہت سارا کلچرل ایکسچینج ہوا، بہت سارا جو ہے تو تہذیبی اور تمدنی طریقے سے جو ہے تو دوستانہ مراسم بڑھتے گئے. اب اس کے بعد ہوا یہ کہ 1979 میں اسلامی انقلاب آیا اور اس کی تاریخ ہم نے دیکھا ہے. ہمارے بہت سارے پیشرو مقررین نے بہت اچھے سے جو ہے تو اس کے بارے میں بتایا. اب اسلامی انقلاب صرف ایک انقلاب نہیں تھا بلکہ یہ پوری دنیا کے لیے ایک میسج تھا، ایک پیغام تھا کہ ہاؤ ٹو ورک فار ہیومینٹی، آف دا پیپل، فار دا پیپل اینڈ ٹو دا پیپل. ایکچولی اگر کسی کو دیکھنا ہے تو وہ ایران میں جا کر دیکھے کہ وہاں پر غریب کو روٹی ملتی ہے، پانی ملتا ہے مفت میں، الیکٹریسٹی ملتی ہے اور اس کے علاوہ رہنے کے لیے گھر ملتا ہے. یہ ساری چیزیں اس انقلاب اسلام کے جو ہے دین ہے اور یہی چیز جو ہے تو دنیا نے اپنایا ہے. اسلامی انقلاب کے بعد بھی ہمارے تعلقات بہت اچھے سے رہے اور اس کے بعد 1993 میں اس وقت کے جو پرائم منسٹر تھے نرسمہا راؤ، انہوں نے ایران کا دورہ کیا. اس کے بعد 1995 میں ایرانی صدر اکبر ہاشمی رفسنجانی نے پھر انڈیا کا دورہ کیا اور پھر اس کے بعد اکتوبر میں جو ہے تو کے آر نارائنا جو اس وقت کے وائس پریزیڈنٹ تھے، انہوں نے ایران کا دورہ کیا. پھر 2001 میں اٹل بہاری واجپئی نے ایران کا دورہ کیا اور بہت ساری جو غلط فہمیاں، جو بہت ساری چیزیں تھیں اس کو دور کیے. اس کے بعد ہوا یہ کہ 2003 میں صدر محمد خامنئی ہندوستان آئے اور اس وقت کے جو ریپبلک ڈے کی پریڈ تھے اس کے وہ چیف گیسٹ تھے. اس سے ظاہر ہوتا ہے کہ ہندوستان اور ایران کے ریلیشنز کتنے اچھے ہیں. صدر احمدی نژاد 29 اپریل 2008 کو ہندوستان آئے. ان کی دعوت پر مجھے 3 مرتبہ جو ہے تو ان سے جا کر ملنے کا وہاں پہ شرف حاصل ہوا اور یہ بہت ساری چیزیں ہم دیکھتے ہیں. یہ ریلیشنز یہاں پہ ختم نہیں ہوئے. اس دوران انڈیا اور ایران کے بہت سارے فارن منسٹرز کے دورے ہوتے رہے، بہت سارے جو ہے تو ڈپلومیٹس کے دورے ہوتے رہے، بہت سارے ڈیلیگیشنز سال بھر جاتے رہتے ہیں ایران کو اور ایران سے بھی جو یہاں پر آتے ہیں، جس میں پوئٹ ہوتے ہیں، سوشل ورکرز ہوتے ہیں، کلچرل پرسنز ہوتے ہیں، ٹیچنگ پرسنالٹیز ہوتے ہیں اور بہت سارے لوگ جو ہے تو جاتے رہتے ہیں، آتے رہتے ہیں. اس دوران مجھے بھی ابھی ڈاکٹر آفتاب انور صاحب ہمارے ساتھ، ان کے ساتھ مجھے بھی جو ہے تو جانے کا موقع ملا. اس کے بعد پھر میں پھر گیا اور وہاں کی تہذیبیں اور کلچر کو ہم دیکھتے ہیں. लेकिन मोहतरम नाजरीन इकराम, जब इस्लामी इनकलाब 1979 में आया तो उसके बाद बहुत सारी तब्दीलियां वक्त, ये नाम ही इसका इस्लामी इनकलाब, और कुरान शरीफ इसका मंशूर था, लेकिन इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि जो कुरान शरीफ को नहीं मानते उनके खिलाफ कोई इक़दाम किया जाए। अभी जो है तो श्रद्धा मैडम ने वहां का जो है तो पर्शियन टेम्पल बताया है। इस तरह के ऐसे कई टेम्पल्स, ना सिर्फ पर्शियन टेम्पल बल्कि हिंदू टेम्पल, बौद्धिक टेम्पल वगैरह सब के सब वहां पर है, और वहां के लोग उसकी हिफाजत करते हैं, उसकी देखरेख करते हैं, उसको मेंटेन करते हैं किसी तरीके से, उसको जो है तो आज तक भी डिस्टर्ब नहीं। अब तो ये है कि जब इनकलाब आया और रजा शाह पहलवी के जो शाह के जितने भी महल थे वहां के लोगों ने उसको लूटा नहीं, एक पिन तक वहां से ये नहीं करे, बल्कि आज भी वो सारे के सारे महल म्यूजियम बने हुए हैं और लोगों के लिए निगाह इबरत का काम करते हैं। जहां पर हम बड़े बड़े महल देखते हैं शाह के, वहां पर हजरत इमाम खोमेनी की जब घर जाते हैं तो एक या दो कमरे का छोटा सा घर है और वहां पे दुनिया के बड़े बड़े लोग आते हैं। ये सादगिरी, और ये चीज जो है तो इस्लामी इनकलाब की देन है। इस्लामी इनकलाब जब आया, जब इस्लामिक रिवोल्यूशन आया, तो फिर उसके बाद बहुत सारी तब्दीलियां आई, मंशूर लागू हुआ, इस्लामिक हुकूमत कायम हुई, और फिर ये सिलसिला चलता रहा, और अभी ये सिलसिला जारी है। अभी हाल ही में हिंदुस्तान के वजीर आजम नरेंद्र मोदी ने ईरान का दौरा किया, वहां पर वो सदर खामनेई से मिले, हसन रफसंजानी से मिले, और जब वो यहाँ से गए तो क्या तोहफा लेकर गए थे? डू यू नो व्हाट ही हैज टेकन विथ हिम? ही हैज टेकन ए प्रीशियस गिफ्ट ऑफ कुरान शरीफ रिटन बाय हजरत अली ने खत फस्ख, यानी हजरत अली के हाथ से तहरीर करता वो कुरान शरीफ का नुस्खा तोहफतन देने के लिए लेकर गए थे, जो यहाँ की रामपुर लैबोरेटरी में रखा हुआ है, और उसकी एक कॉपी बतौर खास तैयार की गई, और वो गिफ्ट उन्होंने जो हजरत खामनेई को लिया कर दिया। सिर्फ यही नहीं दिया, बल्कि उन्होंने ईरानी सदर हसन रूहानी को उर्दू के मारूफ शायर असदुल्ला खान गालिब के फारसी कलाम का एक नुस्खा भी पेश किया। अब बात यहाँ तक ही नहीं ठहरती है, 1715 में हिंदुस्तान में समीर चंद ने रामायण का फारसी ट्रांसलेशन किया था, पर्शियन ट्रांसलेशन किया, तो उसकी भी एक कॉपी स्पेशल तैयार करके उन्होंने जो हसन रूहानी को लिया करती है। तो इस तरह से ये ताल्लुकात और मजबूत होते गए, और ये सिलसिला आज भी जारी व सारी है। इसके अलावा दीगर जितने अहदेदारान के दौरे हुए वो सारे के सारे दौरे इंतहाई कामयाब और बेहतरीन थे। अब थोड़ा सा हम आगे की तरफ बात करें और आज की सिचुएशन को अगर देखें तो हमको मालूम होगा कि वी आर हैविंग गुड रिलेशंस एंड दिस रिलेशंस आर स्टिल इन प्रोग्रेस, जिसकी बहुत कॉमन एग्जांपल अभी हमारे बहुत सारे स्पीकर्स ने भी दिए हैं। दैट इज द फॉर दैट कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ चारबाग बंदरगाह, और साथ ही साथ जहदान रेलवे स्टेशन प्रोजेक्ट्स, एंड दिस टू प्रोजेक्ट्स आर जस्ट वी आर कोलैबोरेटिंग फॉर ईच अदर, और जिसके लिए हालिया दिनों में इंडियन सफीर जो हिंदुस्तानी जो सफीर थे उन्होंने दौरा किया, और उसके बाद जो तो वहां के भी सफीर ने आके इसका जायजा लिया। उसके बाद फिर हम देखते हैं कि हिंदुस्तान के लिए ईरान एक अहम मुल्क है जिसके साथ तिजारत करने की काफी गुंजाइश, ये स्ट्रेटेजिक तौर पे भी इंडिया के लिए बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि इसके बगैर वो अफगानिस्तान और वस्ती एशिया में दाखिल नहीं हो सकता, और जोग्राफियाई सूरत हाल से भी हमारे उनके रिलेशंस बहुत अच्छे, और ये दोनों अच्छी तरीके से जानते हैं। इन सब कंडीशंस के बावजूद कि दिस कोरोना वायरस हैज अफेक्टेड अ लॉट, कोविड-19 की वबा ने बहुत मुतासिर किया है, सबको मुतासिर किया, उसी तरीके से ईरान भी मुतासिर हुआ, हिंदुस्तान भी मुतासिर हुआ, लेकिन इसके बावजूद that Indian two central ministers have visited just after lockdown to Iran. ईरान का जो है तो इसके बावजूद भी उन्होंने सबसे ज्यादा जो है तो रिस्पेक्टफुली जो है तो उसका दौरा किया। इससे ये साबित होता है कि इंडिया और ईरान के रिलेशंस बहुत अच्छे हैं, एंड दैट इज जस्ट वी आर थिंकिंग अबाउट आफ्टर दिस Iranic revolution. फिर after that one we used to see that in many developed countries have certain clashes with Iran, but India is having a very good relationship. We got the transportation and then selling of the petrol, purchasing of the crude oil and giving the medicines, and that one, that just now that Iram madam is telling about the medicine and pharmaceutical field. So we used to see that these are the very, very great beneficial things for our relations, कि हमारे relations के लिए बहुत बड़ी बातें हैं. अब हमारे उनके साथ रिलेशन इतने अच्छे हैं कि हम उनसे क्रूड ऑयल तो लेते हैं, लेकिन इंडियन रुपीस में उनको जो है तो करेंसी हम जो है तो पे करते हैं, और उनसे जो है तो उसके बदले ऑयल लेते हैं, और फिर उसके बाद दवाइयाँ, मेडिसिन और नंबर ऑफ थिंग्स वी यूज्ड टू गिव देम. Apart from this one, then we will find that we are having a good relations in economic dealing, trades, business, and tourism. That are the most important characteristics. ये बहुत अच्छी चीजें हैं जिसकी वजह से हमारे और ईरान के relations बहुत अच्छे हैं. अब अगर हम थोड़े से culture और education की बात करें तो we used to see that कि India and Iran is having a very good relation, very good cultural relations. We use it is under the one aspect that Indian Council for Cultural Relation (ICCR) New Delhi is having it organizing the festivals in Aswan as well as Shiraz, while Tehran or Iran culture houses are organizing the festivals in Delhi as well as in Mumbai, and that is having a lot of according to one estimate that more than 25,000 people were visited over there in that particular cultural exchange. फिर इसके बाद, if we come towards the educational aspect, then we will find that many of the Iranian students are studying over here. Many of my students are completed their graduation, post-graduation, and PhD, and they are going. They are working in Tehran and in Pune and Mumbai and many other parts of that. According to one estimate, that more than 10,000 students are studying in India, and from India, more than 2,000 students are studying in Tehran and other places. So this cultural exchange is having a lot of benefit to us. According to one estimate, that India has provided more than 70 type of scholarships for Iranian students. So ये जो ताल्लुकात है, ये जो हमारे relations है, these relations is just proceeding toward more love and affections. About this one, we will find that in India, many Irani communities are surviving, and we will find that due to this cultural exchange, everywhere Irani hotels are there, especially in Mumbai, in Aurangabad, in Hyderabad. We'll find that Irani hotels are there, and very popularly they are having their name with that one. और बहुत अच्छे तरीके से चलते भी हैं, उनके relations भी बहुत अच्छे हैं, and simultaneously you'll find that many Indian hotels are also there in Tehran. Myself and Aftab sir has visited one Indian hotel, and that was the 5-star hotel in Tehran, and having a good culture. So in that way, the friend relations have a lot of great significance for developing such type of trade. इस तरह की तिजारत को बढ़ाने के लिए ये relations बहुत अच्छे आते हैं. अब अगर हम थोड़ा सा और गहराई में चले जाएंगे, in 1979 में जो ईरान में जो तरक्कियां थी, जो डेवलपमेंट था, उसमें बहुत कुछ अब जो है तो तब्दीली आ गई है, और वो सारी तब्दीलियों में ईरान जो है, हिंदुस्तान भी जो है तो उसके शाना बशाना चल रहा है. मिसाल के तौर पर at that time there was only schools was there 5,300 53,885. Now it is more than 2 lakh schools are there in Iran, और ये इसमें जो है तो बहुत सारे हर तरह के स्टूडेंट्स स्टडी कर रहे हैं. Then even in higher education we'll find that physics, chemistry, electronics, telecommunication, geology, that Iran is having very advanced knowledge, because that is a petroleum producing country throughout the best petroleum producing countries throughout the world. और फिर उसके बाद जो है तो we'll find that many precious stones are there from their mines, and these things are very useful for our society. हमारे समाज के लिए या इंडियन करेंसी, इंडियन ताल्लुकात के लिए बहुत अच्छी चीजें हैं. इसके अलावा भी फूड प्रोडक्ट्स में ईरान जो है तो खुद कफील हो गया है, और हिंदुस्तान भी उसके शाना बना शाना है, और वो चीजों का जो है तो तबादला होते रहता है ईरान के साथ. I visited that Tehran University many times, and I have seen over there all the people, they are studying very hard, very nicely, and the people's like very much to India. मैं ये बताते चलूं आपको कि तेहरान के बाजारों में, तो वहाँ के जो सेलर्स है वो आलमंड, बादाम, काजू और ये चीजें जो है तो बहुत सस्ते दामों पर बेचते रहते हैं, और खुद हिंदुस्तान के जो है तो ग्राउंड नट्स होते हैं, जो फली के बीज होते हैं, वो खाते रहते हैं और बहुत फख्र से खाते हैं। हिंदुस्तान का कपड़ा वहां पे बहुत अच्छे दामों पे बेचा जाता है, और बहुत रेस्पेक्टफुली, बहुत सीख कर बोलते हैं कि बरामद हिंद बोलते रहते हैं वो। यहाँ हिंदुस्तान के लेदर, चमड़ा, शूज और ये सारी चीजें भी जो है तो वहां पर बहुत अच्छे दामों पे बेची जाती है, और बहुत रेस्पेक्टफुली। यही नहीं कि यहाँ के लोगों को भी ईरान के लोग बहुत पसंद करते हैं। When I told that I am from India, oh, you're Indian and you're a friend of Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, and Hema Malini, and so and things. So very proudly, I used to say, yes, I'm a friend. So whatever they are selling in very reasonable rate due to this relation. It shows that Irani peoples are having very good relations with Indian peoples, and as per my thinking, कि मेरे जैसे शख्स अगर ये जाने आने due to this particular visits and coming and going back, and if we are increasing our law and affection within an inch, that is mature. And that's I want to say at the end, कि हमारे ये जितने भी ताल्लुकात हैं, ये हमारे सब दोस्ताना ताल्लुकात हैं, अगर 1 इंच भी बढ़ जाते हैं तो हमारे लिए ये बहुत खुशी की बात है. One of the Persian couplet which turned my life, and that has been given as an autograph from my mother to me while I was taking admission in botanical science, and I was not having that much interest, but she advised me and she has given that. Nowadays I used to follow this one everywhere. Just I would like to read that one, and after that one I will finish. बरगे दरख्ताने सब्ज दर नजरे होशियार, हर वरखे दफ्तरे ईस्ट मारिफत कीर्तगार. And I'm doing that one. Thank you, authorities, for giving me this opportunity for sharing my views, that too in Urdu as well as in English. And I'm always be thankful to you for this particular love and affection from your Iranian side towards me. Thank you. Jazakumullah khairan kasira. Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor. That was very nice. But I don't know any Urdu language, but understand some of that. So that was very beautiful. Thank you very much.
It is your advice from your office that I'm supposed to speak in Urdu also for our viewers.
Okay, that's good. Especially the last one, the last poem. That was very nice.
Yeah, that's ideal for me. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rafiuddin Nasser. It was a brilliant speech, and you spoke in Urdu, and you said that India has a basket of products in Iranian products, and Iran has a basket of Indian products. So I would say the most common product that I see in the streets in Iran is badam-e-hindi when I go.
Yes.
Iranian
product for the Indians is Irani chai.
Yes. Yeah? Exactly. His Excellency wants something, tell something, I think so.
Sorry, Dr. Ashuri and distinguished guests, I should be in another meeting with your permission. I am leaving the meeting. It was very fruitful webinar on the occasion of the 42nd of the anniversary of the victory of the Islamic Revolution of Iran. Once again, I would like to extend my best wishes and appreciate to all of you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now, next, I would request Professor Dr. Sheikh Aftab Anwar, who is currently the principal of Pune College of Arts, Science and Commerce. He has PhD and M Philosophy in Research Guide of University of Pune. Of the University of Pune, Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapeeth, and Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Aurangabad. Please come online, Dr. Sheikh Aftab Anwar.
Yes, I am there.
All right, please continue.
Yes, in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, I would like to thank Iran Culture House and Iran Consulate for giving me an opportunity to speak today. Iran marks its National Day on February 11th, a day that celebrates the 1979 Islamic Revolution that set the country on a path to sanctions. My sincere congratulations and best wishes on the National Day. And I hope that relations between India and Iran further deepen. Iran is a very beautiful country. It has been on the wish list of many and many people, and as such on my wish list also. And thus I could get an opportunity to visit Iran in 2010 with Nasir sir. Iran is closest to India of all the countries in the Persian Gulf region. In my college, that is Pune College, we are teaching Persian subject to BA students for last many years. Earlier, many students have passed out. They are undergraduate, postgraduate and PhD from Pune College. My visit to Mashhad, Iran's most important religious city, and inside Holy Shrine of Imam Reza and other historical and recreational places was really a great moment for me. India and Iran have had cultural and social relations which predate to Vedic times. Essentially, Indians and Iranians share their Aryan legacy. The first contact between Iranians and the Indians can be traced back to the Indo-Aryan migration from Central Asia, including parts of modern Iran, to India in 1250 BC. These exchanges are reflected by the common proto-language shared by Sanskrit and Persian. Regular cultural and educational exchanges have been maintained between India and Iran. A memorandum of understanding was signed in January 2008 between the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, ICCR, New Delhi, and the Iranian Cultural Heritage, Handicrafts and Tourism Organization on holding of Days of Culture in these two countries. Moreover, the work of Iranian writers and scholars on India and vice versa had assured a constant exchange between the two countries. Like India, Iran experienced interference of British colonialism. The two countries shared a border till 1947 and share several common features in their language, culture, and traditions. Both South Asia and the Persian Gulf have strong commercial, energy, cultural, and people-to-people links. The Iranian Revolution in 1979 introduced a new phase of engagement between India and Iran, marked by exchange of high-level visits of Indian Prime Minister Sri Narasimha Rao in September 1993, Iranian President Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani in April 1995, and Indian Vice President Sri K.R. Narayanan in October 1996. The trend was consolidated and enhanced at the turn of millennium with visits by Honorable Prime Minister of India, Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee in 2001, and a return visit by President Mohammad Khatami in 2003, when he was also the chief guest at the Republic Day function of India. Also, the Iranian President, Dr. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, visited India on 29th April 2008. As a result of all these efforts, the two countries have strong bilateral relations in various fields. Both Iran and India are committed to anti-colonialism and non-alignment. These principles have to be reaffirmed today, and both countries can guide other Asian countries in dealing with the current world order situation. Iran is fostering ties robustly after the Iranian Islamic Revolution of 1979 with Asian countries and wants India to play a pivotal role in creating an Asian resurgence. It is very important to note about economy and trade between India and Iran. India-Iran economic and commercial ties have traditionally been maintained by Indian import of Iranian crude oil. India's exports to Iran include petroleum products, rice, machinery and instruments, manufacturers of metals, primary and semi-finished iron and steel, drugs, pharmaceuticals and fine chemicals, processed minerals, man-made yarn and fabrics, tea, organic, inorganic, agrochemicals, rubber, manufactured product, etc. Both countries have set up joint ventures such as the Madras Fertilizer Company and the Chennai Refinery. Indian companies such as SR, OVL, etc. have a presence in Iran. The State Bank of India has a representative office in Tehran also. The most important thing, what we can talk about Chabar, it is not only a key to maritime relations between both the countries, it is one of the most important aspects of bilateral relations between India and Iran, but also provides an opportunity to India to reach Russia and Central Asia. The Chabar port project was conceptualized in 2003 as Iran gave permission to Afghanistan to use it for transit purpose as tension between Kabul and Islamabad peaked. India also saw this to be an important step to contribute toward the development of Afghanistan while also addressing its long-standing plan to bypass Pakistan and secure safe transit access. It is very important to know about the education and culture. For hundreds of years, Farsi, the Persian language, held mastery as a language of administration and high culture across the subcontinent. So in the 17th century, when the Maratha Raja Shivaji wanted to communicate with Rajasthani Jai Singh, the general of the Mughal army in the Deccan, they used Farsi language. Persian or Farsi is one of the recognized languages across various central universities in India. A memorandum of understanding was signed in 2008 between the ICCR and ICHSTO for the Days of Culture in two countries. India has set up cultural center in Tehran named after Swami Vivekananda. We have some challenges and the road ahead. Iran and India share strong cultural and historical ties which cannot be easily eclipsed. Despite some hiccups, the ties between the two countries have never strained and the future appears promising for both the countries. And the two nations knows this very well. Once again, thank you all for your patience listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you. That was nice. Very good. Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor. And after Professor, I would like to say something, and then I'll invite Mr. Ashuri to, finally give his final talk. There is this a very common saying in Persian: "Konad hamjins ba hamjins parvaz, kabutar baz ba baz." So the reason that India and Iran fly together is because we are birds of the same feather. Now, Mr. Ashuri, please take up the mic and give your final word.
Thank you very much.
Okay. That was again and again. I should thanks from to all speakers and all audience to participate in this very nice program webinar, and we've enjoyed from this webinar. We learned too much from the lecturer. And also at the last one, I can say one thing also, as you all mentioned, sugar and tea between two nations, Iran and India. That is the last one in every aspect: culture, economic, politics, everything, literature, language, everything. I think so. So is it possible to separate the sugar and tea from together? At all? I think not at all. At all, we cannot do any separate these two. For this reason, I should tell to all audience, the roots of religion, the roots of in two nations, India and Iran, it's very strong. Nobody can separate these two roots from each other. For this reason, it's not the new. It's written back too many years ago. So this root will be strong. So no enemy of India, enemy of Iran. They cannot do anything. They cannot separate these two nations from each other. We have the same culture. We have the same behavior, morality, everything. We have the same thing. So we cannot, nobody can separate. And after that, I would like to show some PowerPoint about the achievement of the Islamic Revolution. After Islamic Revolution, just I suggest to all to watch this PowerPoint if it is possible. From Mr. Ali, I would like to show to them. So the first one, the region's first military power in the West Asia. No, Iran is the first military power after revolution, but we should think about the sanction. We should think about the 8 years imposed war against of Iran. We should think about the everything. They push Iran, they surrounded Iran by enemies every place. If you see around Iran, so they created so many enemy against of the Iraq, against of Syria, Yemen, and all. So, but now Iran is the first regime's military power. And the second one, next. And second, we see the second country to treat thalassemia. The second country to treat thalassemia is very important. Around the world, it's the second country. But as I mentioned about the sanction, how it is possible. I believe that maybe all freedom people, they believe that without superpower, nobody can do anything. But now, Iran improved that. It is possible. It is possible every nation to do everything by themselves. Then next, the safest, as I mentioned, the safest country in the Middle East region. The safest country in the Middle East region. So because all around the Iran, surrounded Iran by the Daesh, as you know. Daesh as a terrorist group. They killed too many people. And so they created so many problems for the people, for the nations, for the country. But Iran is the safest country in between these countries. And then next. Rather, evasion drone production technology. As you know, this is very important for the Iranian people. Evasion drone production technology. What is it is the result of the resistance against superpower. Iran stand against them and did everything by themselves. And did everything by the new generation scientists. And also we have the best, the talent young generation to produce this instrument also. Okay, next. The 8th nuclear country in the world. The 8th nuclear country in the world. So it is very important. After 42 years revolution, this is the result of the resistance of Iran. According to the sanction, according to so many problems, this is the result of them. How it is possible? This is because of the believe themselves. They believe themselves. They believe independent, like Indian people. Like Indian people, independent is very important for every nation. They do everything by themselves. Okay, next. Third place in the dam industry. Third place in the dam industry. As you know, for agriculture, dam is very important for every country. So they can build the dam for the industry agriculture. Okay, next. Fourth place in ethanol production. Ethanol production, as you know, they use it for the petrol, gas, and for this idea. So the fourth place in ethanol production. So before that, we import gas oil and petrol from the abroad, from the other countries. Iran import to for usage of the car and everything. But now they product by themselves. This is the fourth place around the world. Okay, that's very important. And then next. Second place in the production of nano drugs. Nano drugs, as you know, in farm they use it, very important for curing the people. Nano drug is very important. So, but Iran, it has. Okay, next, because we don't have time, I should. The second largest manufacturer of heart valves in the world. As you know, this is for the heart surgery is very important. But by the Iranian doctors, they did this one also by themselves. Before that, they import to Iran this manufacture, but now they did and they product by themselves. Next. And discovery of the blindness gene for the first time. This is for the first time. For blindness gene, they discovered this one. After that, they can see. This is the Iranian scientists. Next. And fifth country in animal simulation. Fifth country in animal simulation. Maybe you heard this before that through news, but now they did like this. Next. The second cyber army in the world. Next. The second cyber army in the world. And next, the only industrial producer of bioimplants. Next. First place in nanotechnology. In nanotechnology, nano is very important for everything. For medicine, for everything. They use it through nano. So Iranian scientists, they did like this one. Okay, this is a view. This is one light of the discovery of Iran, discovery of the Iranian scientists, doctors, and especially young generation graduated from Iranian university, and they did all of this by themselves, without supporting through the superpower or other countries. It shows us if every nation believe themselves, they can do everything by themselves, like Indian. So Iranian and India, they thinking same. They thinking same, and they believe themselves, and they can do everything by themselves. Okay, this is the, we reached to the last of this webinar. I should thanks again from to all speakers and audience. Thank you so much for participate in this webinar. That was very nice, very beautiful program, and we learned too much things through this webinar. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody, again and again.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for your precious time. Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz. Thank you to all of
so
you.
much. Thank you to all.